What's up, guys? This is Andrix.
And I'm the Leo King. What's going on, guys? Electronic generation time.
That's right.
What's going on, dude? I mean, I'm gonna feel like I've been just going through a roller coaster of life. Just so many things going on, and I think some of the topics we're going to talk about today is the good, the bad, and the ugly of the world and electronics. And
no, it's for sure. I feel totally the same way. And what's interesting is the similarities that we have, even though we're kind of like, I'm with you being in the astrology world, and me more in the entertainment / music, although that's you too as well, but that's my core business. And it's like, I think what the similarities we have is we both absorb, the collective consciousness. We absorb that.
Yeah.
And we feel that, and we're constantly just trying to communicate that out, and we're trying to help. We're just trying to create a landscape where we're able to create happiness.
No, it's true, and I think it's important right now the way the world's going and everything. But before we go into a lot of those topics, was your weekend good?
My weekend was amazing.
What did you do this weekend?
I played at Omnia in San Diego, and it was me and ATB.
I love ATB. He's actually one of my favorite trance. I don't even consider him just a trance. He's like his own genre.
No, for reals. I mean, he's one of the only DJs I know that actually sings live. That's what also what gives him his edge.
Yeah.
So he'll grab like an actual mic, and I mean he sings every single time. I mean he's like putting on a real show. He's sweating. I mean obviously he's known for Ecstasy. The song Ecstasy.
Yeah, 9 p.m. till we come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of things. I mean, if you didn't have ATB albums when you were
exactly
in the rave scene at the beginning, it was kind of like. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm just gonna be real. My rave days, that was like some of the first albums I had.
No, there's a lot of older generation DJs and a lot of old hits that but he's one of the guys that actually made it out of that old, the old generation of trance.
And still goes.
And still, he's still going. He's still making current hits. There's a couple guys from different genres of dance music and just different genres of music across the board that have made it out. And you got to wonder, what are they doing that's different? Why, why did 9 Inch Nails make it out of like industrial goth,
right,
whatever? You know what I mean? And why did Smashing Pumpkins make it out of alternative? And during the 90s, there's a gazillion bands, a gazillion alternative bands, a gazillion industrial bands, but these few guys made it out. What set them apart, And
that's cool. What's it like playing with ATB?
It's great. He's
it's great.
He's super chill.
Yeah, just chill.
He's super chill. I mean, we had it was a very interesting situation this time actually, because Omnia. Here's the thing. They had a Omnia is like a very commercial club. It's not like it's not in a warehouse. It's not like a hardcore trance kind of.
It's like a Vegas style club in San Diego. Yeah.
It is. So because of that, I would say at least 75% of their audience they want commercial music. They're regular people that listen to regular music. They don't have necessarily this acquired taste that some people that are into music.
Some of the people there might not even know who ATB is.
It's true. It's totally true. So the biggest challenge for me as a DJ is to be able to tap into like that crowd, and it's kind of like, well, okay, as a musician, as an artist, and I think this is why you and I, what we do right here, this very moment, I kind of feel that we're being artists too, because we're tapping into this collective consciousness and putting it back, channeling it back out, but we're narrating it and curating it in a way that I feel that we have a responsibility to do the right thing. You know what I mean? Make the fact that we have a platform, and people that are, we're just creating awareness for the greater good. That's the bottom line. So with music, obviously we do the same thing, and I've had lots of conversations about you. And I think this is another reason why, even though we talk a lot, and it's just there's certain things that you really don't understand about a person until you work closer with them, and then you find out, wow, this is how this person is. That's why sometimes, I mean, you can be in a relationship for like 5-10 years, and you're discovering new things about this person all the time. You know what I mean? Because we really don't know how people are until you actually, it just the more time you spend with them, the more you're like, okay, wow, this is how they really are. But I think before I go back to that, I think this is why I think the EG, electronic generation, works with you and I, because you're very rooted. When we had this conversation before, the core of who you are has not ever changed. Now the outside,
I'll admit, I don't change much.
But you adapted.
You've
adapted.
I'm a hybrid.
Totally.
What do you call it? Camouflaging, like
DJ, artist, whatever you, But everything though, not just as a DJ, but just your approach to life and how you handle things is, it's.
I can get a little heated quick, and then but I'm the kind of person who stays the course, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah.
So I don't hold my emotion in. I'm not somebody who holds my shit in.
Yeah. Totally.
Even when I play, and I've had issues with the sound people trying to tell me he's being too energetic. It's like, what the fuck? Isn't that the whole point of being a DJ? Why is he being too energetic?
Totally.
It's crazy. So it's I don't hold my shit in, if that makes sense.
No, I think it's healthy. I think it's good. I tend to, I don't want to say I'm passive, but it's kind of like I know that, by talking, you just kind of get the idea. For me, it's like I know if I try talking about the subject to somebody, they're not at that stage where they're gonna listen. It's gonna go in one ear and out the other, and it's just certain things just have to take their course. I think that's why, something like what we're doing here.
Sometimes I feel like because I'm a teacher online for a living, I'll take a kindergarten approach with a PhD approach at the same time.
Yeah.
So I try and hit all people at the same time.
Totally.
So I bring comedy into it, but then I'll hit you really hard, and so you don't know where I'm coming at you. What grade?
Yeah.
I can teach to all grades. I'm trying to hit everybody all the time.
It makes sense. You have to.
And especially with how I DJ too, the commercial thing you brought up about opening for ATB and how the club's got 70% mainly commercial. It's I've especially, unless I'm playing an underground show in a warehouse, or I'm playing at Focus, or I'm playing at some place where I know, okay, I got to play deep house music, underground, that's my shit. I'll play that way. But that's 2% of my gigs now.
Yeah.
The rest is at big stage clubs, and you know what? You have to adapt, and you have to play, kindergarten level and PhD at the same time, and find a way for it all to work.
Yeah, no, that's the challenge. I mean, I think in every art form, whether you're a cook, you're a clothing designer, you're a curator, a narrator, you're a media personality, whatever it is. Even just being a person talking with other people on a one-on-one, you kind of have to figure out, how do you bring this conversation to someone's front door? You know what I mean?
No, I know, it's not easy.
Yeah, but that's how you could. Why I think that's what separates successful people from non-successful people, because they're able to adapt and figure that out, and they're able to adjust their personality. I mean, I remember. I've seen a big change in you from when I first met you close to 10 years ago till now. The core is still there. I still get, but I will definitely see. I just know that, just over the weekend, we had some discussions that I just knew that you were we were talking about certain things, and I think, for me, it felt like you were a little bit under, you had a lot going on.
Well, my weekend was not exciting, playing with ATV or anything. I literally pulled out this weekend of everything in my life, and I took R&R, which I think is important.
It's good.
And I just spent time with my wife and my family, and my grandma's in town. She's 92, and I literally just backed out of everything. And I've reached, doing this show and doing all my other shows. I'm on camera every freaking day.
I know.
I'm doing shows every day. So this is my life right here, every day.
Yeah.
And so it's sometimes I need to take, I'm just like, but I'm the kind of person where I'm a man of my word. I show back up. That's how I roll, you know? And so my weekend was spending time with my inner self and not being on stage for once, you know? Because my whole life is on stage now.
It's good. But you got what you wanted.
I did get what I want. But speaking of like, well, more than stage, one of our main subjects this show is going to be we're going to start with the bad. I like hitting the bad and ending with the good.
It's true.
But what is the bad things that the electronic world has done in the world? Like for me, I would say, you know, in some of the subjects I think we wanted to hit is it's kind of disconnected people, right? Like a lot of people are always on their phone.
Totally.
You know, good example is I remember when I used to work a normal job, like back in the day, like in 2004 and 5, like this is before people were on cell phones or on computers all day. You'd walk in and be like, hey, how you doing? You know, you can walk into an office now and people are like,
exactly.
Check in on the iPad or whatever. Like people are just kind of not there all the way.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I guess personal interaction has definitely taken a hit. You can't have, you know, you can't go to any social event or even have dinner or go on a date with being interrupted by somebody checking, you know, their Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah,
or
but
email, right?
before my wife, I had a date who was like, get off that cell phone right now. I was like, oh, dang. So I think it takes responsibility of people now to kind of be like, hey.
Yeah. This is that.
But you also don't want to intrude on people's lives. So it's kind of
Exactly.
one of those weird things. So obviously, she ain't around, you know what I mean? Like she did not make the cut because like I don't like being told what to do with my life. But.
Totally. But you know, it's one of those things where you kind of, for me, if I'm around other people, it's like, well, it's one of those things where it's tough because you expect the other person to have enough courtesy to know that, hey, I just took out time out of my day to be here with you.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like a sign that says how much somebody respects me and respects my time and values my time.
Yeah.
If I'm with them and they're checking their phone or not, right?
Well, I think the phone is our new like shell.
It is.
Like people are
It's an
afraid
escape.
to be in front of people now.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because we're so used to communicating on a phone and on a computer or however. So what's going on now is I believe people use the phone as their protective. Oh, I don't have to engage at this moment. I can engage in this, or I'll be honest with you. It's so funny. You know, my wife, she's a millennial. She's 10 years younger than me, and so her generation, they don't phone calls don't exist. It's only text or a Snapchat or, you know, so it was like, I'm a phone guy. I had a Nokia 5190, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yo, I'm more of a phone guy. Like, if there's an issue, I want to talk to you. I don't want to text it out. You know?
I grew up when there was a dial, actually, when you had to ring around. But,
remember the cordless phones? That was the big one. I was watching
brick.
Friends the other night, and, you know, it was like the big break, like, hey, what's going on?
No, I mean, I mean, people, it's funny because you say that, because I was just talking to someone the other day, and, you know, this girl was like, people actually, you know, they break up and get together. They break up on text. Yeah,
I know, it's crazy.
I was like, I was shocked, but then at the same time, I was like, what, you know? And the other thing is, what's sad about that is, and this goes to this leads to the other bad thing about the electronic generation is, people have become disposable commodities, right?
Yeah.
Like with dating apps and with Instagram and people just checking. I mean, Instagram and Facebook is basically events, DJs, and porn. I mean, or food. You know what I mean?
I know, it's
and,
true.
I mean, yeah, people aren't half naked or anything, but everyone's got their shirt off or they're in a bikini and just dancing. And it's like, and it's kind of like, yeah, you know, like we don't have MTV and we don't have CNN, but this has replaced that. You know what I mean?
I know.
With everyone doing it across the board. So
that's an interesting way to look at it.
It's democratized, I guess, the attention span, or it's democratized where we get our information from now, right? With this new platform, the social media platform. But I don't know how. I don't see that. No one has figured out if that's good or bad. It's just happening, right?
Or how it affects people psychologically now, you know. That's the new thing, like Facebook and a bunch of app developers, because I have an app for a living, I'm really tuned in for apps, and that the apps are preset basically to be addictive, right?
Yeah,
to keep
totally.
you to come back.
Absolutely.
And they're saying that the dopamine hit you get from these apps and stuff are literally like taking a hit of drug, you know, like bam, bam.
Yeah.
Everything's instant gratification. Even the way that Instagram is the ultimate dopamine for women, they say. Because it's instant, I'm seeing it,
Yeah.
I'm feeling it, I'm liking it, and then it's a really big dopamine hit for the women and how they will make their models. And it was crazy. I found out through my wife, there's like Instagram themes,
Totally.
right? Like,
Right.
oh, every color is a certain way. I'm like, I just post shit up on Instagram and that's it. But like, people take it all like, as this is the presentation of who I am, and then that's great. I'm not saying it's bad. I just think it's an interesting way to look at life now, where it's like, how does that affect things psychologically? Because it's a little bit fake, you know. It's like, because we don't have personal interaction. It's like a lot of people tell me when they meet me in person, because I go tour for a living and meet people in person, because they meet me on camera, they see me on my shows. They go, dude, you're exactly the same you are on camera.
Yeah.
But most people,
Totally.
it's the opposite with Instagram. Oh, I put it out this way, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is where catfish to me are the total biggest thing of the spiritual like community of online. Like, there are so many catfish online now, people projecting through their Instagram, their Facebooks, whatever, of how they are, or the way they take a perfect selfie, or there's even apps now that change your fucking body.
Totally. Yeah, right.
Blows my mind now.
No, it really is. Well, we know that the fact that, you know, we both come from entertainment.
Yeah.
We kind of grew up, and this is a big common theme with entertainment, right? Fake it till you make it. But now that has become something
It's
that
taking it too. It's like too fake
yeah.
now.
Well, the problem is not only is it has it been taken to extreme levels, but everyone's doing it, and it's like. But here's back to what you were saying.
And then there's copycats everywhere.
There's copy. That's a good one.
Which is a good one, though.
That's a
If
really
you
good
get copied, you know you're doing something right.
I think the harm is very subliminal. That's what makes it deadly. It's one of those things where it's like a cheeseburger, right? You know what? A cheeseburger is not going to kill you the first 10 years, but maybe 20, 30 years, you'll probably get cancer or something from it. I think social media is sort of the same way, because, I mean, it's like these little things that we look at, I think they trigger, like, I mean, just looking at half-naked women and looking at, people that are successful all the time, and it's like, what does that do? What kind of impression does that leave?
Or
everybody?
it makes you question your self-worth. That's what I deal with a lot of my clients,
Yeah.
is they see this and then they're like, well, I'm not successful and I'm not this. And I'll be honest, from my experience, I know people with 1 million followers and they live in a 1-bedroom apartment and they are barely making it.
Oh,
right?
true.
So there's like this projection or
Yeah.
idea of like, oh, I have this many followers, or look at the way it looks, but it really isn't that
No,
way.
Nothing
at
is
all.
what it appears to be. Nothing.
Nothing.
And that's why, that's actually another reason why this works, because we both come from entertainment, we both come from media, we both are artists, and we're like, hold on a second, something is really fucked up.
Yeah.
And we actually need to create, the whole purpose of this for me was awareness. Yeah, music, we both come from a music background and a media entertainment background. That's our anchor. And that's why we're able to present ourselves. But the reality is, we're trying to counter everything that's been going on, because it affects, like you, what I'm hearing is it affects our personal lives.
Yeah,
And that's why
it
we
does.
need, that's why I think you've been detaching a little bit, and that's why I detached.
Well, yeah, I think we all have moments where we're going to need to detach.
There's
and then
nothing
we're
wrong with
really
it.
engaged,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
I'm kind of a very either all in or I need to disconnect for a sec kind of person. You
No,
know?
it-
And then there's some people who are just, in the middle, you
Yeah.
know, just cruising. I'm not a cruiser.
Totally.
I got my
No.
Z06 today parked out front. You know what I
Oh
mean?
no, all in. Go hard or go harder.
Yeah, that's how I roll. And
Yeah.
I don't know. So I think that some of the good things, though, that have come out of it is, I mean, look, we're able to talk about this and do this live show. But I think, I don't want to say that the good outweighs the bad, because I think they're both equal. I think it's about what side, it's about learning to take, because I think everybody knows the good. I mean, it's like basics. Like, it's good to connect people. It's awesome now of how fast information is. You can literally like express yourself now in ways that have never been possible before, but it's like learning how to master electronic world now is freaking hard. It's not easy.
It's new territory. And you know,
it is the new frontier.
It's a new
and then if
frontier.
you mix, and we haven't ever even talked about this, but virtual reality, man. Because I have a virtual reality set in my office, and I'm a big virtual reality person. And I did the world's first virtual reality horoscope last year live.
Were you a gamer, by the way?
Yeah, big time. I've always been. Yeah.
Warcraft, all that?
I wasn't into Warcraft. I was more into, I'd like the Age of Empires and other kind of games like that, but.
Was that an RPG? Like a
Well, it was
game?
like one where, you know, like you start to build your own little place and your people, and then you go to war against them, kind of like World of Warcraft, I guess. Yeah, it's like an RPG.
But I mean, okay, so my brothers, they, you know, like literally, I witnessed this was crazy because I have two younger brothers, and they were both sucked, literally, like they were like 1 foot from the computer.
Yeah.
Growing up for like a good 5 years each of them, and like my youngest brother, you know, he's off to pharmacy school now, but when he's not, I mean, he's just like playing, I don't know, Warcraft or whatever, and it's kind of like, wow, I
was more into the consoles.
Well,
Nintendo and PlayStation, and it was more of like a friend thing to do for me. Like I didn't spend a lot of my time alone playing games.
Well,
it was more like, everybody's coming over. I mean, I was a big GoldenEye on N64, you know, with 4-player and, you know, everybody shooting each other. Like, you know, that was more of like my gaming thing.
I think right now, Facebook, Instagram is sort of the light game where it hooks you like that, you know?
It is the life game.
It is the life, yeah. It's kind of like an RPG game, right?
Yeah, it's like The Sims on steroids.
Kind of, yeah.
With reality.
Well, you basically what Instagram and Facebook is like everybody's page is like a sitcom, right?
I know.
It's like, okay, so you want to see what, you know, the Leo King's doing, you want to see what Andrix is doing, you want to see what this DJ or this celebrity is doing or this host is doing. And here's the thing. Whoever is putting out media and content, they got a fucking responsibility to do the right thing.
Yeah, it's true.
To say the right thing, you know, to create, you know, to just not mislead people.
Well,
that's my thing.
There was that one guy on YouTube who got, you know, really hurt bad, like in his scene. He had like 150 million followers. He went into Japan and watched that person hang themselves in the woods and put it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where now we're at a weird space where freedom of expression is important, and we don't want to lose our free speech. We're actually seeing it right now. The Facebook algorithm, as you and I know, has been screwed over the last 3 months.
Right, exactly.
Because of these stupid people doing this stuff.
Yeah.
It even bleeds over into gun control now and people shooting people, and what are we going to do about guns? We're at a place where I think the whole world right now, even outside of electronic, well, actually, I think the whole gun thing and what people is all electronic based too.
It is. It totally is. 100%.
Like so there's so many good and so many bad, but it's like we got to still find a way to protect the ability to express ourselves. But you know, a couple bad apples can ruin a whole entire great bunch of good things.
So now with the new algorithms with Facebook, they're basically trying to turn it back into MTV and CNN, right?
Well, they want all the power to go back to the media companies and have the platforms be restricted.
Exactly.
So we can't ever get higher than that, and have the media companies say, no, you're allowed to come on my platform and be there.
Right,
Basically, it's a big balls power play right now.
Yeah, well, so they want to bring it back to how it was. It makes sense. There's a lot of money, and then...
Oh, yeah, because they were losing money. I mean, 2017 was the biggest loss in the media world, not only film, but television. But that's what the whole thing was. And that's now what it is, and I'm going to be very straight to the audience right now. If you're trying to get into media or anything, you're going to have to create your own platform, and it's not going to be on Facebook.
No.
Facebook's turning into the MySpace that's dying right now.
It totally is.
So it's
we're catching the tail end right now.
This is the tail end.
Yeah.
So it's like
That's
you
why
gotta
we have,
go, yeah.
well, that's why we're multi-platform.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we took this off of Facebook a while ago, and with, you know, with our own website, with the We Are 3X and the whole
Yeah.
thing.
And that's it scares the crap out of me.
We
But
well,
because it made me realize how comfortable I was with life. Like, oh, I just can kill it and have 30,000 people a day watch me on Facebook and put all this on YouTube and have all these people watch. And then it was like, whoa, the last 3 months, it happened to everybody. And now all of us are all talking to each other, Facebook and YouTube people putting out content, and we're all freaking out like, holy shit, they're out to stop us.
But you know what? You know what's great is you and I both came from nothing. So we're not afraid.
No, we're not afraid. And you and I are willing to go out there and meet people in person.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we have an awesome gig coming up March 17th at Avalon. We're doing a meet and greet. And it's all about meeting people in person. I think that's the end story of electronics, is using it to meet people in person. And then when you're there, enjoy that time with them.
Enjoy the time, experience it. But here's the other thing is, this whole thing is really, this came out of inspiration from the audience.
Yeah.
From people we met.
Yeah, it's true.
From each other. So this is all, you know, this is, what's the word I'm looking for? All this stuff just kind of transcends in and out. And we're reflecting the social collective consciousness.
Yeah.
With, you know, with the responsibility to put out the right and good information and help people, instead of some media outlets just doing it purely for profit. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with profit. There's nothing wrong with making money. Everyone has to make a living. But personally, you know, this is just my personal opinion, and people have heard me say this many times, but passion before profit always for me. And I think that's why things why things have real value, because we were all put here for a reason. And we are all unique, and we all have a certain value that we provide each other. And if we're just copycats, what value are we really providing? You know, if you know, you got to be yourself. You can't be no one else. You know what I mean?
I know. You have to be, and you got to find that self-expression. And I think electronic world now is, man, if you can use it for self-expression and do the positives in it and stay connected and find a way to also then meet people in person, you're hitting home runs. But if you're using it as a protective shell and like kind of a mask to what you wish you were,
totally, absolutely,
and not who you really are, you can see through that. Like in MySpace world, I was big on MySpace. There was that girl Forbidden. She actually passed away. I don't know if you know that, in the last like year. And there, you know, there was these personalities, but they really everybody projected themselves to be something. And then when you met them in person, they're different, you know. And I think that's the scariest part. But I don't know. I want to meet everybody at the show. March 17th, Dirty South, Andrex and I at Avalon. It's going to be pretty awesome.
It's going to be a good one. It's just the Leo King, me, and Dirty South. Just the three of us, main stage. It's going to be killer nights on Saturday.
And we're going to do a meet and greet. And so make sure that you shoot us a message, hit us up, go to the website, and make sure that you hit us up, because we want to meet you in person. And if you meet us in person and get to hang out with us, trust me, we'll make it worth your while that night.
Well, the other thing is we're going to have our cameras on us.
Yeah, no, we're doing a whole show, so it's going to be super cool. And we got a lot of other cool stuff, you know. And today's show really, I think, showed that this show is a wide variety. It's not just about dance music. It literally is about
electronic generation,
electronic culture,
electronic world,
electronic generation, and how it affects our lives. And I've always believed, and I said this in the first episode, and actually Andrex agrees, spirituality is like electronic is the physical manifestation of spiritual, like.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right now. So.
No, it's key.
But thanks for being here today. It was awesome to see you guys, and of course, we'll see you again next week.